We're delighted to welcome in the Bears, the 19th head coach in Bears history. It is indeed Ben Johnson. Ben, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Well, it's just a pleasure to talk to you. We're very excited for the start of the season. We know that the roster cuts it's a difficult day, an important day. How do you feel about where you're at right now with time a-ticking and the season in the offing?
I think we've had a tremendous training camp. We achieved a lot of the goals that we set out to do, which is, techniques and fundamentals, mastering the scheme, situational football. So we're in a good place going into this first week, and I think we're going to continue to get better as the season goes on. In terms of the roster, I think Ryan and I have had some really good dialogue on where we're at, where we could potentially get better here over the next few days, and I think us as a coaching staff have a lot of confidence in the guys that certainly are going to make the 53, but we're hopeful that the guys on practice squad are going to be able to contribute at some point this year as well.
What do you think the strength of this roster is? And when you look at it objectively, do you believe it's talented enough to win the NFC North?
Yeah, there's no question. We can talent's not going to be an issue in this league. It's all about these guys going out there, believing in what we're doing, how we want to play ball, executing at a high level, and we'll see how it plays out from there. I know this is a talented division. It's really well coached across the board, but we like our chances just as much as the next team. So we feel good about that. I do think the strength of our team that I've felt over the course of training camp is probably going to be up front. And I say that maybe not from the flash players, but I think the depth that we have, both offensive line and defensive line, those are both areas that you don't just play your starting 4 or 5. You end up playing good 8, 9, 10 guys over the course of the season. So the depth that we have at those two spots, it's really going to pay dividends for us here this year.
Coach, we have seen you come in, and the standard is the standard. You've talked about that. You've come in and you've worked with Caleb Williams. We all feel that relationship is the most important one. You with the quarterback. We know your background. We know where he was taken and what he can do. I'm just curious, when you start talking about the standard, when you start talking about where you're at with Caleb, you've set a lot of lofty goals for him and a lot of ideas of how he needs to play. Have they been adjusted at all as you get to the start of the season? Have you changed any of those goals? What does success look like for Caleb Williams?
Yeah, no, the standard has been set. The bar has been set high. He has said that he wants to be not just one of the best top 5 quarterbacks in this league, but he wants to have a legacy that lasts for a long time. And so we're coaching him that way. We're approaching it that way. That's not going to change. Is he going to be a finished product here year 2? No, he's going to continue to get better year in and year out, and it's a process. And so we're very clear on that. There is a little bit of grace here as we go through it. We know he's learning. He's going to take his bumps, but at the same time, as long as we're not making the same mistake twice, we're going to be right on track and we'll be just fine. So it's one of those things, coming to work every single day with a great attitude. His attitude's contagious to the people around him. So being positive, willing to learn, being coachable, those things go a long way for not just this season, but his long-term process.
Ben, you had one training camp practice that I think we were going to make a documentary about. People were talking about how physical it was and how much of a throwback it seemed. And then you had the Dolphins come to town in a joint practice, and one of the Dolphins players was whining later about how physical those practices were. Why was it important to you, and what was the goal in structuring your training camp and setting that tone so the physicality was the biggest takeaway?
Yeah, I think that's the name of the game in this division. It's the black and blue division for a reason. We've talked to our players about that, and they've really embraced that mindset. I think there's a certain way you need to play this game if you want to win this division. And so we're going to practice that way, particularly when we're in pads. That's what we're looking to do. That's really you have a limited number of opportunities in training camp and then during the season to wear those pads in practice, and we look to maximize those opportunities because what you do in practice does show up in the game. And so when it's just in your head that you're going to stop the football on defense and you're not going to let it go any further, and on offense, our perimeter guys are going to block in the running game. They're going to block for their buddies after we catch the ball down the field. It just shows up on game day, and those little things go such a long way in gaining an edge over your opponent.
Coach, we know that the step up from being an offensive coordinator to a head coach is a fairly profound one. You have been ready to make that move. You've had opportunities to make that move. You finally do so now. How well organized were you? I mean, when did you put together the schedule? When did you know? You could have been a head coach a year ago and you waited and you wanted to finish the job in Detroit. I'm just curious as to how prepared you felt for this particular role, and was there anything that surprised you when you finally got here and finally took over?
No, I think that's the best part of this particular situation I walked into. I was actually talking to Ryan about that the other day, is the fact that a lot of the structure was already in place. I'm talking about from great ownership to Kevin Warren at president to Ryan on as a general manager, and on the personnel side. There are a lot of things that I would have maybe struggled with if it was a first-time GM and we're both finding our way, that Ryan, naturally, he can help. He helps so much already. He's helped in the springtime and in training camp. It's really a good thing that he's been around and he's been able to be helpful that way. And so you look at that aspect, and then also on the coaching staff, being able to get this collection of guys that have experience. They've done it at a high level. We have a group that have been to Super Bowls. They've won Super Bowls. They know what winning football looks like. Head coaching experience on the staff, coordinating experience on the staff. I mean, we've got a wealth of knowledge that it just makes my life a lot easier, and to where I'm not having to do this blind. I didn't hire a bunch of buddies. I got a bunch of guys that don't feel like they need to just tell me what I need to hear. They tell me what they feel like is the truth, and that goes a long way. So, to your point, it was by design that it was all structured this way, and I think it gives us a better chance to get off the ground faster than maybe some other first-time head coaches.
And they will all follow you. I mean, you will set the tempo. You are the leader of this pack. And so when you get in front of the room, and when you've gotten in front of the media, I think has been pretty consistent. The passion, intensity, those are the words that have been used to describe your approach. When you address your team, do you sense that you have a locker room full of guys, a building full of people who love football, who love their jobs as much as you seem to love yours?
There's no question about it, and that's a credit to Ryan for filling that locker room with a bunch of guys that are prideful. They're pros, and it doesn't matter if you're a rookie in here or you're a 10-plus year vet. These guys, they want to win. They want to be really good players individually, but more than anything, they want to see their buddies do well, and they want to win. So that's what makes it fun when you're in front of them as a coach, whether it's as a head coach or as a play caller talking to your unit. I think it goes a long way because the buy-in is there. The buy-in really is there.
It's kind of fun to watch the way that you operate and to see all the things that you've got to deal with. I'm wondering if there was any issue, maybe even just the NFLPA policies that impact your practices. Was there anything that kind of frustrated you a little bit as you tried to get everything organized and get this team up and running?
No. Honestly, you couldn't have asked for a smoother start from the springtime. I thought we had a great setup in terms of our plan for phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 throughout the springtime, and then camp has gone great. I mean, being here at Hallis Hall, I think we've had a great setup. We've got access to everything that we could possibly need here. Our travel has been outstanding, from going down to the stadium the night before the game at home to last week going to Kansas City, getting on the plane. I just think everything's been first class, and so our players feel that. They feel everything, and when they see that everything around them is structured, it's organized, but also everything's being done first class. It allows them to dive into their craft and give their all as well.
We're talking with Bears head coach Ben Johnson here on the Mully Haugh Show on 670 The Score. So you have been known for your candor and how direct you can be, whether it's good or bad, positive or negative. So what's going on at left tackle, and why are you stopping short about with Braxton Jones, who seems to be the starter, but you're reluctant to maybe name him that yesterday? Where do you stand with left tackle, and have you treated that position a little bit differently than some of the others?
No, I'm treating the entire roster all the same. We're not naming starters right now. We're not even talking about week one yet. Okay, I know Minnesota is coming up around the corner, but this week is still about us. We had a great special teams practice on Monday. Yesterday was really good situational work. Today we're going to be in pads for our last time before we get into game week, and so we need a great practice here today. And we're just focused about us, and so that's why I'm not in the business of talking about starters yet. Next week we'll handle all that. Who's going to be out there, the first team, second team, what our roles are. But that's not the time or the place right now for us. And so I want to keep the main thing. That's not to distract from the fact that we've had a battle there at left tackle. We've had some really good candidates, but I'm just not at the point yet to anoint anybody anything at any position.
Do you feel that it's an advantage that you've put together game plans for a team like the Vikings before? Or, I heard some of the Detroit guys say they recognize some of the plays. I think Kay Adams asked you about it, and you were like, well, that's some game plan from 3 years ago. Like, you're not doing a game plan for a preseason game, as we all know. But are your ideas about what they do impacted by the different personnel you have here in Chicago?
Yeah, and so I alluded to it already, and I know it's not a flashy thing to say, but camp for us has been about mastering the techniques and the fundamentals of a number of things. It depends on what position you're playing, so everyone's a little bit different. But I think up front, if you're on the offensive line, I want to see a great deuce block in the gap scheme. I want to see our tight ends and our tackles triple up to the second level. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I can keep going on and on and on. And yet, that's why the plays don't matter as much. It's about the execution of these techniques and these fundamentals. And then once we get into the season, that's when we can dress everything up with the shifts and the motions and the personnel groups and getting guys into certain spots. But right now, it's about let's get lined up and let's get really good at doing this, because once we get the building blocks down, that's where we can stack them all up together and make it into something really cool.
Yesterday, of all the things we heard, the lack of clarity surrounding the Jalen Johnson situation was probably of most concern because of his value to this defense and because of what the challenge is on Monday night against Justin Jefferson. What kind of clarity can you provide, if any, Coach, about whether or not you're confident Jalen Johnson will be available or when he will start practice?
Yeah, that remains to be seen. We'll have some good time off. This will be our last practice until next week today. We'll have some good time off. We'll be able to really reset and see who's practicing next week to what extent. The hope has been from the get-go that the soft tissue injury would be resolved by the time week one turned around, and we're going to be right up on that timeline, I think, for Jalen.
Coach, we'll let you go. I'm just curious, what do you consider success this year? Is it about development? Is it about winning games? I mean, what is it that you're looking for this season?
I think at the end of the day, we as a team, I'm talking about coaches and players alike, we need to establish our brand of football going forward, all right? And it's our physical nature. We need to be poised under pressure. We need to be detailed schematically and fundamentally, and I think the results will take care of itself, but it's really that buy-in with what we've been talking about from the spring to training camp that needs to show up for us over the course of the season, and we're going to just get better and better and better. We'll be playing our best football in December and January if we get that done.
Great stuff, Coach. Really looking forward to the season, and we're really excited for you.
Thanks, Ben. Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you, guys.